2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome into it. Hey, happy Thursday for your pre-Friday celebration. Going to be a fun one today. We have Eric Eggers on the program with the Government Accountability Institute. We're going to talk about the way government's rolling, some of the fraud that we're trying to clean up, and some of the plans from the Trump administration that maybe, just maybe, we don't quite agree with. I know. We'll get to some of that. So make sure to like it out, share it out, leave that comment, break the algorithm. Let's do this thing for your Thursday. Hang tight. Here we go.
30 seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your pre-Friday celebration. Greatest day of the entire week. Setting that tone, ready to rock and roll for a whole nother one. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's been a long one. I know we had Thanksgiving last weekend, which makes it really hard to get back into the full week of work. So you're starting to hit that mode of, is it almost done yet? So don't worry, we're here to entertain you, keep you going here. One more day, baby. We're getting so close. Welcome into the show. It is The Voice of Reason. I am Andy Hooser, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country on so many great radio affiliates doing our thing.
Do it live!
Like we do every single day here on the show. Bottom of the hour, Eric Eggers will be on the program. He's with the Government Accountability Institute. We will chat about the ongoing cleanup of government, exposing some of the fraud, the ongoing fraud, which we will talk about today in just a moment. And are we going to disagree with President Trump about a couple of things that he's been pushing lately?
Say what?
I know. What does that mean? So we'll get to that at the bottom of the hours with Eric Eggers and the Government Accountability Institute. First and foremost, though, some big news going on today.
What's trending today?
And I can only imagine how angry progressive Democrats are because of this announcement, because they think, of course, Donald Trump is the most racist, bigoted human individual on the face of the earth. Now, he wasn't before he became president, but all of a sudden now he is, and he hates brown and black people or something. I don't really know what. But the announcement made today from President Donald Trump with a new peace agreement.
It's a special occasion for a lot of reasons, but number one is it's our first occasion in this building using it for peace. And it's all about peace, and it's a great honor. And Marco, you've done a fantastic job in getting it ready, but it's a spectacular building, and we all appreciate it. And very importantly, we're settling a war that's been going on for decades with millions and millions of people killed. And these two gentlemen spent a lot of time backstage talking to each other and over at the Oval Office. We were at the Oval Office together. It was beautiful. And I think it's just a very important day.
All right, so the new peace agreement between the nation of Rwanda and the Congo down in Africa, two nations that have been really committing genocide upon one another for a very long time now. signing a peace agreement thanks to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, President Donald Trump rocking, and that's what, peace agreement number 7, number 8, number 9, I don't know. So, hey, well done. All right. We'll take it as we continue to see peace around the world, and I just laugh. Again, it's a big momentous part. I don't really know what else to say about it. I don't know the details of that ongoing war and what was happening, other than the fact that the media, the Democrats, probably not going to report much on this one. Even though it's very good news, they're not going to report on it because it goes against their entire narrative. They've been making the claim that Donald Trump has only cared about peace agreement for essentially white nations and white people, and he doesn't care about the genocides going on in Africa, and they've criticized him for only focusing on particular conflicts around the world. Well, this kind of shoots down that entire narrative, right? So, now they can't say that he doesn't care about the lives of black people or of people from Africa or whatever. So I guess the only ones I can say now is that he hates brown people because of the war with Venezuela? I don't I don't know. But there we go. That's great news. We're saving lives around the world. President Donald Trump saying that one of his biggest goals in this administration is to create as much peace as possible and just stop the dying. Not trying to promote some type of political agenda, not utilizing the military-industrial complex, not trying to start long-term conflicts at all in general, but to stop bad guys and stop people from dying. That's why he's taken the stance that he has on Ukraine and on Russia, and he just wants the people to stop dying, whatever that looks like politically thereafter. And some just have a hard time wrapping their brain around that mindset. You have to be one or the other. And that's the way we've kind of been conditioned to, right? That's the way we've been taught. You have to be one or the other instead of just letting people live. Wild concepts. All right.
What's trending today?
Back on the home front here, it seems like now the issue is now Donald Trump's a racist against Muslims or against people in the Middle East somewhere or even East Africa with the Somalis, with the confrontation after the announcement from the cabinet meeting this week from Kristi Noem, from Sean Duffy, the illegal visas of 50% out of the state of Minnesota, the illegal 33% of illegal commercial driver's licenses that were issued out of the state of Minnesota for Somali illegal migrants, and so on and so forth. That has now broken the news, and Democrats have quite the differing opinion on how to approach this. And I get it. It's under your programs, under your administrations, whether it's the Biden administration, whether it's under Governor Tim Walz in the state of Minnesota, which, well done, you really brought some light and some exposure to your state. Not in the way that you were hoping, but you did it. You did it, so I guess applaud yourself on that one. But the Democrats can take two approaches to this. You can either admit that you have fault, and that, yeah, you know what, there's 50% of these visas that are illegal. That's a problem. We have to do something about it. They should get on board with the deportation of these individuals and then say, hey, if you want to come back, then we'll try and start you the process, maybe try and jump you up the line a little bit and do what we can to get you back here the proper way. I'm not advocating for that. That would be the advocation of the Democrats and the ones that are really upset that Donald Trump's bringing a light to this issue that they didn't want to bring light and transparency to, that they were hoping would just skirt right underneath the media and no one would have to talk about it and we wouldn't have to worry about this problem because it makes the Democrats look really, really, really bad. So you can take that approach, or you can just be mad at the fact that Donald Trump is actually talking about it, which is what we've heard from some of the media, with another Republican on CNN, surprisingly, calling out Democrats for not addressing the issue, but addressing the fact that Donald Trump is talking about the issue.
That we all agree that the fraud story in Minnesota is bad, and yet the topic we're discussing is not the fraud scandal. It's Donald Trump talking about it.
Or the governor who swept it under the rug.
This is why he won in 2016, and it's why he won in 2024, because instead of talking about the outrageous situation in which immigrants who were given the greatest privilege on earth, American citizenship, turned around and stole from the American people, we're talking about how Donald Trump talks about that outrage. That is his superpower.
Yeah, they don't like that. They don't like that. They want this one to go right under the rug. They want this to go out of the media cycle as quickly as possible. It makes the Democrat Party look bad for Joe Biden. It makes Governor Tim Walz look bad because of allowing this to happen in his state with a very large Somali population in certain areas, including even mayor's races that had an individual wanting to impose Sharia law, wanting to implement this type of lifestyle for a population of Somalis that are there, when the vast majority of them not supposed to even be there in the first place. And this looks really, really bad optics for the midterm elections of 2026 coming up right around the corner. Because, again, this goes into the deeper issue of the entire house of cards, the entire structure of the government bureaucracy. Not the government itself, because we want to get back to traditional conservative policies, traditional constitutional policies, not the way the government's supposed to work, but the bureaucracy within government. It's crushing under their weight, and it's toppling. The house of cards is falling because of the Trump administration, not even fixing it yet, but just exposing the problems. And to them, that's really bad. They are getting angry.
We're all gonna die because of you!
So what do you do about it? You can either do this, get mad at Donald Trump for exposing the issue, kind of like the kid caught with his hand in the candy jar, and you're like, hey, wait a second, you're not supposed to have your hand in that cookie jar, that candy jar, and then they start yelling at you, well, why didn't you love me better? I wouldn't have to eat the candy. It's kind of the situation that the Democrats are in right now, because they're in an oopsie type of moment. Now, one that's personally involved potentially in this with some of the fraud, or just trying to find a way to justify admitting that it's happening, but just justify why it happened, none other than Congresswoman Ilhan Omar.
Can you shed any light on why the fraud got so out of control in Minnesota?
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
Hold on. Back the visa transfer process over here. Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman on CNN, Congresswoman on CNN. I think she's a woman. Anyway, she identifies as one. We'll see if that actually comes to be legitimate or not. But she sits down on CNN to talk about this process. Why were there so many? So admitting the fact that it's happening, but trying to find a way to justify it. Again, remember, when you get caught, if you're a significant other, you get caught cheating, then what's your natural instinct? Is the person always ends up arguing, wanting to fight, wanting to try and justify and go on the defense, go argumentative, instead of just admitting that they've done wrong. Democrats are caught with their hand in the cookie jar, whatever kind of metaphor that you want to try to use for this analogy, that they got caught doing something really, really bad. And you can either... they're going two ways here, and they're using both of them because they don't know which one's going to stick. Either the first approach, which is, no, how dare you even address the issue? President Donald Trump's a racist, and he hates Somali people, and he hates Muslims, and so on and so on. And they're attacking him for even mentioning the issue, which is option one. Or you justify it and just try and play the blame game that you're completely innocent, like we just heard from Ilhan Omar, that it was third-party private companies that set up the visa programs, apparently during COVID. I didn't know that we set up new visa programs during COVID. They didn't come through to the regular visa programs? Like, that's what's confusing to me. Is this even, what is she talking about? Did we create new visa programs during COVID because of the COVID pandemic? I didn't know that happened. I thought that you were still going through the same process to come to the country, some type of refugee program or asylum program or work visa or student visa or permanent residency or whatever it was, that you would still go through the same process, not through a new agency or a private company or whatever else, that you would go through the same thing. Maybe it was delayed because of COVID. Maybe there was some additional restrictions or regulations because of COVID. But she's just blaming it off and be like, hey, things happen when you're going through a new system with COVID. And that's what happened. People just slipped through the cracks and we didn't realize it.
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
Maybe I'm in the dark on this one. I don't know what new programs were set up. I thought that you were still going through the same types of programs, unless it was a program the Biden administration put in place with the intention to bus in and fly in as many people as humanly possible, just because you use the argument of their country got hit worse with COVID, so let's bring in people because that's a reason for them to be a refugee or an asylum seeker or a visa person or whatever, because their country had worse COVID than our country, so therefore their life was in danger and we're responsible for taking them in. I don't understand her argument here, but it's the second option. You have either try and get angry at the person that caught you, which is the first approach, or this one, try and play the blame game and say that, you're a complete innocent and this is just something that happens. So if she's admitting that it happened, does that mean she's also admitting that we need to deport the people that have fraudulent visas? And we need to go in like we have around the country with ICE, with National Guardsmen, or with local law enforcement if they're willing to cooperate and say, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Your visa's fraudulent, and therefore we're going to deport you, and you can start the process over by trying to come in the proper way with a proper work visa, a proper student visa, or a proper whatever. Is she open to that? Because as far as I've heard, she's not very thrilled about trying to deport all these individuals. And that's a very large population that's growing in the state of Minnesota with the Somali population. So what's the next step? And does she fall into one of those that fraudulently use these programs to come in the country herself or her family? I don't know. I'm asking the questions. I'm not really sure. But it really has exposed something that wasn't supposed to be exposed, in the bureaucratic state not very happy about the corruption that's going on.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever. Every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Yeah, welcome back into the program. Great to have you here for a pre-Friday celebration. Greatest day of the entire week. You see the light at the end of the tunnel, trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag, trying to rebrand the millennial generation, one radio listener at a time. I want to tell you about my friends over at J&S Smoked Snacks. As you know, holiday season's here, which means you got some hankering for some cravings of some nice snacks. And if you're going to do it, you want to do it in a healthy manner. That's why you do J&S Smoked Snacks. They have beef jerky that is unbelievable. It is not your average gas station beef jerky that you go, you get it, super chewy, super ultra processed, a lot of preservatives in there, and a lot of times not even real meat. That's not the good stuff. No. That's not what this is. I've seen them make it. It is real cuts of meat, it's real seasoning, and it's really, really good. Made in small batches just for you. So even if you order some and it takes you a couple days to get it, it's probably because they are making it fresh directly for you. Go to jssmokesnacks.com. They have a plethora of different flavors for your beef jerky. I personally enjoy the mango habanero. I'm also a sucker for teriyaki. They have the new ghost pepper, which is kind of warm, so if you like warm, then that's for you. Yeah. If you like that one, they also have their brand new honey bourbon, which I haven't even tried that one yet. Pretty good. But go to jssmokesnacks.com, use the promo code REASON, REASON, and you can pick out any 4 bags of beef jerky that you want for our special here of $47.45. Again, go to jssmokesnacks.com, use the promo code REASON with our friends at J&S Smoked Snacks. So I know what you're thinking, and you're saying, Andy, why are you so focused so much on the corruption, especially in Minnesota? We talked about corruption yesterday with the SNAP benefits, and corruption probably one of the biggest issues, at least to me, that we need to start addressing. Transparency, where our taxpayer money is going, and what agencies are and are not working. We are living in historical times right now. Mark this on your calendar. The things that we are seeing right now, the bureaucracy that's toppling over by not even being fixed, but just being exposed for what it's actually doing, is a historical moment. Never in our lifetime, or really in anybody's lifetime, have we ever seen a government actually get smaller. Ever. Like, once a government agency is there, and it's there for the long haul. Now we're exposing that they haven't worked. We've spent a buttload of money for them to really do nothing. And we really are doing a bunch of unnecessary work for a bunch of federal employees. That's all got to stop. And we're spending a lot of money doing it, too, by the way. Caroline Leavitt releasing a statement talking about the amount of money in the fraudulent 50% of visas for Somalis in Minnesota, that all the programs and all the money that's gone to them, that's really been a waste.
In fact, according to a new bombshell report from the New York Times, Somalian migrants in Minnesota have defrauded nearly $1 billion in taxpayer-funded benefits under Democrat Governor Walz's leadership. President Trump is putting an end to this dangerous America Last approach. His position is rooted in common sense.
So if that's the case, that's $1 billion of your taxpayer money going to the state of Minnesota, to individuals that shouldn't be even here in the first place, that have been utilizing social programs. If we want government to work, if we want our Constitution to work the way it's supposed to, if we want the programs that we do have that really are arguable and whether they're supposed to be there in the first place, but if we do have them, we want to make sure that they're done right and done proper. And this is just not even working to fix the problem yet, but just exposing that there is a problem. Now, Democrats, and I'm trying to help you, help me help you. If you want to be viable again, you can't just hate Donald Trump, but the fraud, the waste, the ridiculousness, the complete irrelevance that many of these programs have that we've exposed now, you can't just ignore them and turn the other cheek. You have to recognize them and work with us to fix them. And right now, they're in limbo because this was not supposed to be exposed. Tim Walz is supposed to be vice president. He was supposed to sweep this under the rug and talk about how there's no problem here whatsoever. These aren't the joy you're looking for. and then just go on about their day. And that's what they were hoping for. Now it's being exposed. And again, you have two options to respond. Get angry at the person exposing it, or just justify it and walk away and be like, well, it just gotta happen sometimes. Oh, well, guess we better keep them. Nothing we can do now. Yeah, it's we'll see how they respond as they move forward. Right now, they're just trying to spray everything they can to see what works.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. The Hoosier Media Network continues to grow every single day with new shows, new content, and new information as we continue to fight the narrative against the mainstream and give you the alternative view of the world. The Hoosier Media Network is home to great TV, radio, and podcasting programs on any topic of any interest. From politics and current events to religion and spirituality, holistic and alternative health, entertainment, motivational speakers, and so much more. And with the Hoosier Media Network, you can enjoy more content from the Voice of Reason like this. For those that don't know your story, Mia, talk about your story, your upbringing, and the fact that you are a first-generation American, which becoming a first-generation American and becoming a congresswoman, that's an amazing American story right there.
That's the American dream. My dad was chased by a Tonto Macoute, and those who really don't know what a Tonto Macoute is, they were armed individuals. I call them thugs that served at the pleasure of the president or dictator in Haiti. And that was the Duvalier. And no law applied to them. They had free reign to do whatever they wanted to. They could go into your home, eat your food, rape your families, and there would be no justice. They would walk out and be completely fine. And so when you were chased by one of these individuals, you didn't want to get caught. So my father jumped into a sewage pipe, and he stayed there, closed his eyes, and stayed there until the next morning. And when he went home, his mom was shocked to see him because she thought he had died. If a 14-year-old didn't come home at that time in Haiti, the chances are they weren't coming home. Wow. They didn't come home at night. That's the time when my father said he remembers saying he's going to go to America, the land of the free that he had heard about, where you could work as hard to be anything you want to be. If he wanted to, whatever he wanted to do, he could do it, but only in America. And he decided at the age of 14, when he raised a family, he was going to raise it in America. And he had worked very long and hard. You know what my dad said to me? I think it's really important that people hear this. My dad said to me just not too long ago, just the other day, he's like, you know what, Dad? He said, I love America more than a lot of Americans do. And I said, well, Dad, what would make you say something like that? And he said, because I know what it's like to live outside of this country. Yeah. I know what it's like to run away from people who are supposed to protect you, but can do whatever they want. And there's no justice. I know what it's like to live in a country where government is bigger than people.
It's a scary thought, but he's absolutely right. I see that all the time myself. I don't know whether we take it for granted. We don't understand the greatness that we have in this nation. We have people that burn the flag left and right, that try to cuss it, that try to stand up for communist China, or that stand up for Cuba, and some of the dictators that stand up for these socialist nations. I don't know why we do it, Mia, but the big question is he said, like he said, he came here for the American dream, to work as hard as you can, and the more work that you put into it, the better benefits that you get out of it. Do we still have that society today? Is that American dream still alive?
Oh, I think it's not as available, and it's not because we attack the very thing that helps give the American dream, freedom. You have to have freedom to have the American dream. You have to have the ability of people to risk everything, to open up a shop, to provide an asset, whether it's a service or product that other people want. Our entrepreneurs are being attacked. Success is being attacked. I mean, these are the people, these small businessmen and women are the ones that gave my dad 3 jobs in order to make ends meet. And they're being attacked. Our taxes pay for things that do not really benefit us as individuals. I always, as a mayor, as a city council member, and even as a member of Congress, those dollars are sacred. I saw them as sacred.
Listen to all these programs and so much more as we try to bring back knowledge, wisdom, and truth back into the world. And we do that right here with the Hooser Media Network, the future of media.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
But in terms of the law of it, you're right, Sarah. That is why those Army vets explained, do not follow, you do not have to follow illegal orders. You know why? Because if this is deemed to have been war crimes, which by all accounts right now, there are 7 sources that said Pete Hegseth did say kill them all, even after there were 2 survivors, which you're supposed to do under international law. You are supposed to take those fighters as war criminals, prisoners of war, and you're supposed to give them refuge, and you're supposed to take care of them.
Okay, I can't anymore. So that was Sunny from The View. Apparently now she's an international warlord expert on how to take care of people when you actually bomb them or something. I don't know, but yeah, she's going after Pete Hegseth, trying to indicate that he had given the order to blow them up with that second bomb, and therefore that he should be jailed or imprisoned or something. By the way, there was a hearing on Capitol Hill today, and one naval admiral commanding the U.S. military strikes said that there was no kill them all order from Pete Hegseth. So I guess that maybe clears it up. But yeah, she's just like, no, throw him in jail. He broke the international laws, because she's such an expert on that one. Yeah, well done. We'll cover some more of that as more information comes out. But let's shift gears a little bit.
What's trending today?
Get into our What's Trending story of the day. I brought them on for a few different issues. Some of the plans from the Trump administration that maybe we're kind of scratching our head on just a little bit. But at the same time, we've been talking about transparency and fraudulent spending and exposing some of the fraud. We've been talking about the Minnesota fraud with the visas, and with close to $1 billion, according to Caroline Levitt, saying how much money has been spent on the fraud in Minnesota.
In fact, according to a new bombshell report from the New York Times, Somalian migrants in Minnesota have defrauded nearly $1 billion in taxpayer-funded benefits under Democrat Governor Walz's leadership. President Trump is putting an end to this dangerous America Last approach. His position is rooted in common sense.
Absolutely wild. To talk about some of that and more, really happy to have on from the Government Accountability Institute, back on the program, Mr. Eric Eggers. Eric, how are you, my friend?
And it's great to be with you again. How you doing?
Yeah, doing great. Appreciate you jumping on. I want to talk to you about some other issues in just a minute. But first, I mean, coming from the Government Accountability Institute, as we start exposing more of this fraud and wasteful spending around the country, this is kind of insane watching this. We have $1 billion into fraud spending in Minnesota alone for visas. We have the illegal and fraudulent commercial driver's licenses that we're seeing for truck drivers around the country, and especially there in the state of Minnesota as well. We have SNAP benefit fraud that Democrats don't want to relinquish some of this information to get. I mean, we're starting to just topple the house of cards, so to speak, aren't we?
You also have, I think, a number of states who don't want to give Harmeet Dillon their voter rolls, because some of those illegal immigrants who are collecting those benefits fraudulently, as you just noted, are also potentially voting. So, no, I think it's almost impossible to separate these. They are in many ways related. I'll just address, because I do a podcast with Peter Schweitzer called The Drill Down, and our last episode is on this Somali fraud. And I'll just tell you a couple of things about it, Andy. Number one, while Caroline Levitt is saying that it's $1 billion, there's actually a state employee union in Minnesota who's been raising alarms about this for some time. They estimate, and this is unbelievable, they estimate it may be as much as $10 billion that's been stolen or wasted, and just many of it has ended up in the hands of terrorists, has been reported by Chris Rufo and others. But, I mean, Minnesota is a massive problem. And actually, one of the reasons that we did this podcast, we're like, well, why? Why is, despite a number of red flags that have been raised, they had a summer feeding program, the Department of Education got notices from the FBI about 3 years before they finally did a raid, and Tim Walz allowed that to continue. And we found audio of Somali businesses asking Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota, for help to stop some of the oversight that would have prevented some of this fraud from happening. It's an incredible scandal. He, of course, pledged his support a month before the feds raided it, and the investigation of this summer feeding program, which is at least $250 million worth of fraud, led them to finally figure out that there was other things with Medicaid and else, which is how they got the $1 billion figure.
That's absolutely insane. So what do we do to clean some of this up? Obviously, this has been going on for a while. They're going to have to figure out PR-wise how to try and clean up that mess from not just Minnesota, but Democrats in general allowing this type of thing to happen. But now that we're exposing this, what's the next step? How do we fix this problem?
Well, I think the Trump administration, to their credit, is actually doing significant work, even in just changing the paradigm of incentives. So to show you how broken and backward things were, and we talked about this on the podcast too, in December of last year, literally maybe a year ago today, Andy, the guy that was in charge of the Health and Human Services Medicaid for the Biden administration issued a letter and said, and this is published, this is a real thing. He said, hey, states, we don't care if you think someone is committing fraud. You're not allowed to kick them out of the Medicaid program. Like, this is the official guidance. And when it comes to SNAP and EBT fraud, the states have actually been rewarded for reporting a low error rate. But unfortunately, the error rates weren't really low. I mean, lots of waste, lots of fraud, lots of abuse. But the states are incentivized. They're paid tens of millions of dollars to cover it up and ignore it and say, no, we have a very low error rate, which, of course, because, like, no one is incentivized to report on it. Like,
right.
the soda companies, the retailers, they're all making money. They don't care if it's a fraudulent transaction or not. So the Trump administration is fundamentally changing the paradigm. They're going to put, I think, incentives in place. Like, they're trying to reward rooting out the fraud and the waste and the abuse. And they're putting it on states. If you guys can't clean it up, it's going to cost you more money, not the federal taxpayers. So I do think that they're changing the conversation, even back to the voter roll stuff. They're, like, taking it seriously. And so when the U.S. Department of Agriculture says, look, we think this is a real problem, that's fundamentally different than the way the program's been addressed before.
Well, that's a good first step. I love that. And we can start cleaning up those roles little by little. What is the response from Ilhan Omar, Congresswoman from the area, was on CNN talking about this and kind of rushed it under the rug and said that it was nothing more than just COVID programs that were done poorly and said this.
I think what happened is that, when you have these kind of new programs that are designed to help people, you're oftentimes relying on third parties to be able to facilitate. And I just think that a lot of the COVID programs that were set up, they were set up so quickly that a lot of the guardrails did not get created.
Eric, what is she talking about?
Yeah, guardrails, like making sure the meals you're billing the federal taxpayer for actually get delivered to someone who's going to eat them. Silly stuff like that. Dude, this story is insane, Andy. They literally are saying this, and this is not to be confused with the $1 billion Medicaid fraud in Minnesota, which Chris Rufo and others are saying led money to go to terrorist organizations overseas. This is the one from several years ago that Ilhan Omar is in the middle of. This is a scandal that they're saying 125 million meals were faked. Wow. Just think about that for a second.
Golly.
This is in one feed program in Minnesota, and the guy who they said was like the biggest fraudster. So what it was is, hey, the Department of Education, it's COVID, we want to make sure people are getting fed. We're going to hire these vendors. One of the vendors they hired is a guy who runs a restaurant. It's called the Safari Restaurant, and he had a bunch of different sites. In his restaurant, at the trial, he wanted to show a video of Ilhan Omar herself giving meals from his restaurant to people who were driving by to pick them up. So, she's not been formally or officially accused of any wrongdoing, but it's definitely something that she's connected to. These are people who've been fundraisers for Bernie Sanders. One of the guys was an aide to the Minneapolis mayor. So it's like these are people who are connected to power players in Minneapolis, which makes sense because you're not winning a race statewide as a Democrat if you're hostile to or not friendly to the Somali community,
right.
Just because of the math of it. So, of course, anything that comes up in that area, they're not going to take a firm hand to. They're going to be incredibly lenient and try to cover it up, and I think that's one of the things you see happening. But this is not a good look for Ilhan Omar, no matter what she says on CNN.
No, absolutely not. So as a Democrat Party as a whole, now that they've had essentially their hand caught in the cookie jar, so to speak, and not just this program, we've talked about the SNAP benefits, we talked about Social Security, we see what Doge has been able to expose in the little bit of time that Elon Musk was there and what they're still doing behind the scenes. I've said before that we're in almost a transformative time where all of these agencies, programs, departments, governmental, whatever, that's been there to help people in certain areas, whether it's food or homelessness or drug addiction or whatever, none of them are working. And now Donald Trump in a 10-month time has been able to at least expose why they're not working or clean up the issue in a much quicker pace than what they have with these programs that have been around for decades. Eric, are we seeing a transformation of the way that government's going to be operating moving forward from here on out?
I would love to say yes, but I'm not that optimistic. I will say I think we are seeing a transformation in the way we talk about things. And I think we're seeing a transformation in terms of what the government is bent on doing. I do think it's fair under a Democrat organization. They're focused on providing services, which is, the charitable take on the letter from the Biden head of the Medicaid. He's like, listen, even if you think it's fraudulent, we still think these people need help. And I think the Trump administration is like, look, we have, $30 trillion worth of debt, man. Like, we can't be just throwing money out the dang window and hoping that it gets to the right places. We have to take every tax dollar seriously. We are borrowing. We're paying interest on this stuff. We have very real programs like Social Security and other ones that rely on our fiscal sovereignty as a country. And he's trying to, cut taxes. So they are, I think, attempting to say, listen, it's good that these programs go to people that need it, but there's a lot of people that are taking advantage of this program that shouldn't be getting it. And many of them are in this country illegally. So I think it kind of ties into their larger push with immigration. So absolutely, I think, he's taking on incredibly challenging inherent forces. I don't want to use the phrase the deep state, but there's a reason why this stuff hasn't been done before. Even stuff, Andy, like RFK saying that they're going to get rid of these dyes in some of the foods and allowing states to say we're not going to let our food stamp money be spent on sodas, which
That's
are
right.
like part of the reason why we have this obesity crisis. Like, do you know what the forces they had to beat back to make that stuff happen are? I mean, just like the food and beverage lobbies are significant, and they spend a lot of money. They spend it well. So I think, to me, it's just indicative of the fight the Trump administration is willing to have on behalf of the American taxpayer.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, I mean, they may seem small when we're on the front line seeing this news headlines, but you're right. The work that it took to get behind the scenes to actually make a lot of this happen is really profound and really deep. Eric, hang on the line. Got to take a hard break. It's Eric Eggers, Government Accountability Institute. I want to talk on this more when we come back around the corner, how we start cleaning it up. Are we being more transparent than before? And what policies maybe has Trump announced that we probably shouldn't do? We'll get to some of that when we come back around the corner. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, D.C.'s broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, join the movement to make government work.
As you know, I'm always looking for a good snack, but it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives. But now that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. I promise you'll be addicted. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy The Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all these social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Darn right it is. Reason, common sense, rationale. It's what we do on this program each and every day for your pre-Friday celebration. By the way, I was just scrolling through some news headlines over the break, and I had seen, if you have not watched it yet, this is part of our Weird News of the Day.
Weird News of the Day.
And not sure if you're aware or not, the new documentary, Age of Disclosure, is now the #1 most rented or purchased movie on Amazon Prime. That's awesome. If you have not seen Age of Disclosure, highly recommend. It'll blow your mind. And as we talk about government transparency, accountability, and what the government's been doing that isn't working, the fraud that they've been allowing to happen, and even something like Age of Disclosure with certain technologies or whatever it is that the government's hiding from us, or different secrets that the government's hiding from us, we kind of want to know, and that's why people are looking for answers. and that's really cool. So if you have not seen Age of Disclosure, Amazon Prime, go and check it out. We're hanging out with Eric Eggers, Government Accountability Institute. Have you seen that, by the way, that documentary, Eric?
I have not, and I watch a lot of TV, so I feel kind of quite left behind what's going on in this documentary.
Well, if you like discussing government secrets, which obviously with the Government Accountability Institute that you work at, I'm assuming that you probably like the secrets from the government. And if you like UFOs and some of that information, I'm telling you, man, it will blow your mind. Highly recommend it.
So I do think that to the point, in a large way, like there's very little that I feel like the government could tell us now that we'd be like, no, I don't believe that. Just think about like the last 5 years, and we lived through COVID and what they told us about that, and what turned out to be not entirely correct, and then we were lied to about the Joe Biden's cognitive health, and then now somebody writes a book to make money off the fact that, oh, actually that was all a lie too. And then of course, back in the 2020 election, I actually wrote a book called Fraud, How the Left Plans to Steal the Next Election in 2018. And then, it talks about mail-in ballots and how insecure they are and vulnerable for fraud. And then we send the most ballots ever in the least secure way possible. And then we're told, nope, that was the safest and most secure election of all time. And if you try to say anything else about it, big tech will censor you and deplatform you, and you might get sued.
That's right.
So, it's a wild time that we did have to lead through. And so whether it's UFOs or, some of the stuff about some of these assassins and what contact that they had with government agencies or anything else, it's like, it would take a lot for me to rule it out.
That is very true. And you mentioned it going into the break, is the fact that, we are fighting such a massive deep state, this massive machine that we've allowed to grow way out of control, the powers that be in the country, worldly powers, whatever it is, where even the slightest changes are really difficult. And we're seeing a lot of these big gains in this administration through Donald Trump, through RFK Jr., through Pete Hegseth, through Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and whoever else. It seems minor, slight changes, but they're massive compared to what we're up against. Are you confident, Eric, that we can actually beat this deep state, or at least, again, like you said before, maybe not beat it completely, but expose it to change the conversation moving forward?
I actually do. I am confident that way because I feel like we do live in the age of disclosure, not to paraphrase the title you just referenced, but I do think that pretty much sums it up, right? Like, I was thinking about this on Thanksgiving, and, we sort of celebrate the ability to come together. But, in 2025, there would be like a subreddit thread where the Native Americans would be like, hey, maybe don't take all the blankets, guys. We learn a lot more now than we knew back in the day, and I think we're better for it. Now, people have to be informed consumers of the information, but the reality is that we do not have to be told the official line. There's lots of other information, decentralized platforms of information delivery, thanks to Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter. And so I think that's, a lot of independent media outlets get stuff out there. I worked on a book 10 years ago called Clinton Cash with Peter Schweitzer, and we exposed basically the way that people were donating to the Clinton Foundation and paying for speeches for Bill Clinton and getting favors from the Department of State when Hillary was Secretary of State. And like the New York Times, Washington Post, ABC News, Bloomberg, they all reported on that. And then what happened is Donald Trump won, and they realized, like, oh my God, we can never commit anything looking like real journalism again if it's going to lead to this, because this speaks to like how entrenched the deep state is. 7 of the 10 wealthiest counties in this country, Andy, are around Washington, D.C. There's so much money, so much power concentrated in such a small area, and Donald Trump represents such a big threat to it. So the fact that he's been elected 2 different times and is putting up the wins on the board, I think, show you where the American people are not reliant on the deep state media benefactors to get the information, and we're better for it as a country.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a hunger for it. People want to see change. People realize that the status quo has not been working, and we want to see the tables overturned. We want to see the chaos and essentially a reset button hit in Washington, D.C., which is what we're working towards. I love it, man. Eric Eggers, you can go check him out, g-a-i.org, Government Accountability Institute. Go and check out everything they're all about. Eric, love the conversation, brother. We got to get you back on again real soon.
Anytime, Andy. I also do a podcast called The Drill Down, which you can find at thedrilldown.com.
Go and check it out. I love it. Eric, we'll get you back on. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you, brother, and we'll do it again real soon. Back at it again tomorrow for a Friday. Until then, be your own voice of reason. It's the voice of reason. I'm Andy Hooser. We'll see you on the radio. Bye. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast, become your own voice of reason, and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com, the future of media.
From San Antonio, Texas, this is the Joe Pag Show.
This is worse because I literally have to work and give the government money. It's not like I'm working and they give me money and give them some back. No, I work for some separate entity, make money, and have to give them for the pleasure of being allowed to work in the United States of America. I got to give the states some money if you live in certain states. Got to give the federal government some money, and if I don't, try not paying your taxes. That's how they got Al Capone.
The Joe Pag Show, weekdays at 5 on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Attention high school sports fans.